landed in Iceland early in the morning after an overnight flight and picked up our rental car. Even though we were running on almost no sleep, we weren't about to waste any time. Our first stop was the Blue Lagoon, and it couldn't have been a better way to kick off the trip. It almost didn't feel real, and it was the perfect way to shake off the jet lag before heading into Reykjavik for the evening. How do you feel with your mask on?
I feel like a pretty woman.
The next morning, our little road trip officially began. We quickly realized that our rental car was a lot smaller than we expected, but somehow we made it work. One thing we learned pretty quickly was that in Iceland, the drive is just as much a part of the adventure as the destination. It honestly felt like we had to pull over every 10 minutes because another incredible view would appear around the next corner. One of the first big stops is one of Iceland's iconic waterfalls, where you can actually walk behind the waterfall itself. As if that wasn't cool enough, there was another hidden waterfall tucked away nearby that you had to wade through a stream to reach. It honestly felt like stepping into another world. I don't ever think about you at all, but right now I just need you to know. The next day meant another few hours on the road, but by this point we'd accepted that every drive was going to take a little longer than Google Maps said. Before heading out on our favorite hike of the trip, we stopped to check out an incredible canyon that almost looked too perfect to be real. Baby, you're on. From there, we continued to Muglafjord, which ended up being one of our favorite hikes of the entire trip. Standing at the top honestly felt like we were looking at the beginning of the world. It's one of those places that's almost impossible to describe, and even harder to capture on camera. No matter how good the footage looks, it still doesn't come close to what it felt like standing there in person.
Maybe it's the way the clouds are painted, a perfect shade of yellow all across the sky. Maybe it's the way the times are changing, and I'm stuck in the middle, frozen in a fire. But baby, you're on my mind.
Spending our last day at Sky Lagoon and making our way through the 7-step ritual was the perfect way to end our time there. It was exactly what we needed before heading off to the next part of the trip.
You're on my mind.
England was where the trip completely shifted gears. After a few quiet days exploring Iceland, suddenly we found ourselves in the middle of the energy of London. It was busy, exciting, and felt completely different from everything we'd experienced so far. We spent our first day exploring some of London's most iconic spots before heading to Abba Voyage that evening. We weren't allowed to film inside, but honestly, the holograms looked so real that after a while you almost forgot you weren't watching the real band. The next day we met up with Erica, Fran, and JR, and from there we spent the next couple of days exploring London together. We visited Buckingham Palace, Big Ben, Westminster Abbey, Parliament Square, wandered past some of the most incredible museums, and made our way all over the city.
There's Benny!
Then came one of the highlights of the entire trip. Going to Wimbledon had been on my bucket list for as long as I can remember. Tennis has always been a big part of my life, so finally getting to sit front row on center court was an experience I'll never forget. Watching players like Sinner, Djokovic, Coco Gauff, and Naomi Osaka all on the same day was surreal. It was everything I'd hoped it would be. The next day we caught the train to Henley and Arden to meet back up with everyone before the wedding. It was nice getting out into the English countryside and catching up with Renata again, and even visiting Niall's family home before all the wedding celebrations began.
Niall and Renata's wedding. Happy wedding, Renata!
Happy wedding, Heather.
Tracy.
Enjoying your pins? It honestly felt like something straight out of a fairy tale. It was beautiful, emotional, and so much fun all at the same time. There were plenty of laughs, a few tears, and we danced the night away surrounded by some of our favorite people. It was also bittersweet knowing this would be our last time seeing Renata before she started this new chapter of her life in England. It made celebrating with her feel even more special. As amazing as London had been, ending our time in England celebrating two wonderful people couldn't have been a better way to finish this chapter of the trip. The next morning, it was time to say goodbye and head north for our next adventure in Scotland. After saying goodbye to everyone following the wedding, it was just Sean and me again. We hopped onto the train to Edinburgh, and the whole trip suddenly slowed down. After the excitement of London, Scotland felt quieter, more peaceful, and like the beginning of a completely new adventure. We spent some time exploring Edinburgh before picking up our rental car and heading for the Highlands and the Isle of Skye. It was also our first time driving on the left side of the road, and to make things even more interesting, we somehow ended up with the biggest rental car possible. Add in the pouring rain, and safe to say those first few hours behind the wheel were a little stressful. One thing we quickly learned about Scotland was that the weather had a mind of its own. We hiked up to one of the viewpoints overlooking Loch Lomond, but between the rain and the clouds there was almost no visibility. How's the view? The next day we stopped to watch the famous Harry Potter train cross the Glenfinnan Viaduct, which was really cool to see in person.
It's the way you make me feel. It's real. We watch the sunset over the castle on the hill.
Later, we tackled the Old Man of Store hike, but Scotland wasn't making things easy on us. Between the hurricane-like winds, pouring rain, and clouds hiding the views, we once again finished the hike completely soaked. At that point, we were honestly starting to wonder if Scotland was ever going to let us see what everyone always talks about. Thankfully, the next day finally gave us a break. We headed out to Brothers Point, which ended up being our favorite hike in Scotland.
Take me back to when we found weekend jobs when we got paid by cheap.
That doesn't mean it was easy though. There weren't really any trails to follow, so we found ourselves crossing rivers, hiking through marshes, and trying not to sink into the mud. My feet disappeared into the mud more than once, and Sean managed to slip a few times. Looking back now, those are the moments we'll probably laugh about the most.
Driving at 90 down those country lanes, singing to Tiny Dancer, and I miss the way you make me feel. It's real. We watch the sunset over the castle on the hill. Over the castle on the hill. Over the castle on the hill. One friend left to sell clothes, one works down by the coast. One had 2 kids but lives alone. One's brother overdosed. One's already on his 2nd wife. One's just barely getting by. But these people raise me, and I can't wait to go home. And I'm on my way. tree lanes when we did not know the answers. And I miss the way you make me feel.
Even with the unpredictable weather, the stressful driving, and a few hikes that didn't quite go to plan, Scotland ended up being one of the biggest adventures of the whole trip. Sometimes the moments you have to work the hardest for end up being the ones you remember the most. With one final country left, it was time to catch our flight to Ireland.
I bet it goes like this. India, up, India, up, India, up, India, up, India.
After landing in Dublin, we headed straight to the Cliffs of Howth for our first stop. It was a beautiful way to kick off our final country before heading into the city.
It all burns down. Up, India, go hard like a robin the Louvre.
Staying right in the heart of Dublin, we reunited with everyone and immediately got back into exploring together. We spent our days wandering through the city, enjoying amazing food, taking in some of the sights like Trinity College, and of course, visiting the Guinness Storehouse.
Such as if they tried. Ooh, but it's a state of mind.
The immersive tour was such a cool experience, learning about the history of Guinness and getting to pour and enjoy a couple of pints ourselves.
India, India, us against the world, shaking ass in the parking lot. If we get arrested, haha, baby, laugh it off. I love you, you love me, we batch it, we and I can.
I will say that starting this at 10:30 in the morning on an empty stomach wasn't our smartest decision.
Delusion, philosophy, I kind of know nothing, just like Socrates. The only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. Ooh, screaming from cloud nine. No one could touch us if they tried. What is this?
We're gonna try to split the jewelry.
But it goes like this. India, India.
After weeks of constantly exploring, it was nice to have a few slower moments. We spent some time relaxing, playing cards, and doing what we always seem to do whenever we're together. Before we knew it, our 3 weeks across Europe had come to an end. It was the perfect way to finish the trip. Not with another big adventure, but with one last chance to be together before heading home.